everyone. If you're like me, you're wondering how we're in August, but we're here. So I just want to recap our August tips for you as you work on your MBA applications. First and foremost, look at your calendar and plan out some dates. And you probably have noted when the deadlines are. I want you to really aim to get your applications done a week before the deadlines. This will not only make sure that you might be able to enjoy Labor Day, that would be nice, but also it will just give you some wiggle room if anything goes awry. Plus, a lot of the schools this year are due on the same day. Harvard, Columbia, Wharton, they're all due immediately after Labor Day, that Wednesday. So if by planning in advance, you'll make sure that you can stagger them a little and still get them all in the door with grace, with confidence, with a peaceful state of mind. That's tip number one. Tip number two is to be wary of sharing your essays too broadly. I think you put so much work into your essays and then all of a sudden you want to get some outside input. Just make sure everything's right? Well, it can do a few things there, but it can often open up a can of worms that's not at all necessary. So if you share your essays, I completely understand the desire to share your essays and to get somebody else's eyes on it. It's a good instinct, but think about who you're asking and what their point of view is. Even I think often people think that alumni or managers will have really good input, but unless they've really done coaching or been in admissions, they could very easily lead you astray. So instead of asking them for feedback on the content, really ask them if it sounds like you. And I would do the same with a family member. They might think, oh, you're not positioning this in the right way, but instead just be like, does this sound like me? That's your goal, that you are submitting an essay that's authentic. Often I will hear about outsiders who are like, oh, you're not selling yourself well enough. Well, yikes, that usually leads to an essay that has way too much ego than the school wants. So really be wary of outside input. I encourage you at most to share with 2 people, but even that, maybe it's just 1. And if you really want some expert guidance or expert input, reach out to Gatehouse. That's a sort of unbiased third party who really is trained in this that can help you to avoid that last minute anxiety. The last 2 tips. I want to make sure that once you're done with your application, give it some time to just kind of sit there. I am always surprised how much when I look at an application or an essay I saw 2 or 3 weeks ago and was like, this is great. Look at it with fresh eyes, I might see something a little bit differently. And usually, maybe I see nothing at all, but when I do force myself to have fresh eyes on something, I might have like an epiphany that I missed after working on it again and again. So when it comes to your final applications, definitely kind of put your application on the side for several days and then print it all out, give yourself some time to go through it. And also don't try to be overly critical at that point either. Be like, oh, I could do it this way, but this works as well. Be patient with yourself, give yourself some room, but really do make sure that you give all your materials a final read with fresh eyes. And then my last tip, you've put so much work in your application. Remember to celebrate, either right before you hit submit or right afterwards. Just take a minute or 2 to reflect on maybe what you've learned, on how you have gotten clearer on your goals, really of how you have learned to articulate who you are in your stories. You've put so much work into your applications and I applaud you for that. You're almost at the finish line. But remember, these schools, they have limited spots and things may not work out the way that you want them to and that I want them to on your behalf. But don't let that change the sense of accomplishment that you should feel in putting together these applications. Good luck, and definitely reach out to Gatehouse if we can help at all in these final weeks and days to the deadlines.